Good morning, students. Today we start the second chapter, Kings, Farmers, and Towns. And I would again mention that in my videos, please concentrate on the content and not the quality of videos. Okay. Now, in the previous chapter, we had seen in the Indus Valley civilization how things started, and ultimately it happened, and it grew. It started growing, and it started developing and evolving around the major rivers, which are in which are found in Pakistan today, and of course in the areas around Punjab as well, and also in the areas of Himachal. Now, once we had done through once the Indus civilization was gone, though definitely we do not have any clear idea as to why it perished and how it just went away. Uh, but in the second chapter, now we straight away come to a position. You have to understand that in the civilization, thing was gone, and now a whole new India was taking shape, and we had evolved. The things were getting more and more complex. We were now more and more even developed. We had become much more urban. We had become smarter. Okay, now. Now, again, in Indus Valley, we had problem with the script, whereby whatever we have found engraved in the tablets, we have no idea what those things mean because we have not yet been able to decipher them. Now, uh, students, you have to understand that there are certain other very perplexing, you know, fact about certain civilizations where the languages have not yet been deciphered, and one of the very and people have been trying for it is not just that because Indus Valley civilization happens to be or rather most of the major sites of Indus Valley civilization happen to be in the current day Pakistan, and that is why we've had those logistical issues. Of course, that is the case, but then you also have, I would especially like to mention here one very prominent example which has always confused people, and it is one of the wonders of the world, and I'm sure it is also there in the UNICEF sites about great wonders of the world. uh, it is the tablets and those huge megaliths and the writings that we have found on the Easter Islands. Now, you would like to know where Easter Islands are. Now, that happens to be a very remotely located island. It's very surprising. Now, for example, Indus Valley civilization happens to be right in surrounded by a huge landmass, right? So we say sometimes that the people from Central Asia could have come and ended all of it. So we have speculations, right? But we are talking about now particularly Easter Island. Now, where is Easter Island? If you look at the map of Pacific Ocean, if you how do I say it? Now, if you actually draw a straight line, if you go towards, if you just look at the global map and you start moving right from where Australia is right now, okay, if you start moving straight line right to where Australia is right now, then you would immediately meet the first country that would come is Chile. That is on the left-hand part, or the left part, not left-hand, I'm sorry, and the left part of South America, the continent of South America. There is a very long country and a very slim country named Chile. So it's and from Chile you have to, so it's somewhere in the center between Australia and Chile. Now, Easter Islands, of course, is under the government of Chile right now. But then, even in such a remote island, whatever people were there thousands of years ago, even they have done writing there. Okay, and we have not been able to decipher it as to what they mean. Okay, so even in this age of great advanced technology, we don't know everything, whatever we might try to say. So coming to India, so now we were in the times of Rig Veda, okay, where it is considered to be one of the oldest known literatures. Now, Rig Veda is something all of us can read, all of us know what it is about. It is essentially talking, it tells you it covers whole lot of topics, right from the gods to the farmer to the caste system of India, everything that today India is you know, almost everything has germinated from there, Rig Veda, and then it was added. The things were added by the later rule makers and the later lawmakers and the great rishis and maharishis who came after it. But then the fountainhead was Rig Veda. Okay, now coming to the first topic, that is Princep and Piyadasi. Now, some of the most momentous developments in Indian epigraphy took place in the 1830s. This was when James Princep, an officer in the mint of the East India Company, deciphered Brahmi and Kharosthi, two scripts used in the earliest inscriptions and coins. Now, students, if you can understand this first paragraph properly, then you would understand the perspective of this chapter. Some of the most momentous developments in Indian epigraphy. Now, what is epigraphy? Guys, epigraphy is essentially about the study of ancient inscriptions, ancient languages. It's not just about language. Then, otherwise, the study of languages, we all know it is linguistics, right? But we are talking about epigraphy. Epigraphy would be ancient inscriptions. Okay, now an officer in the Mint East India Company deciphered Brahmi and Kharosthi, two scripts used in the earliest inscriptions. Now, you have two options, students here, to just say, Acha, Kharosthi and Brahmi, Acha, these were the two languages, okay? But then there is an enormous amount of history involved in these two languages, and I am definitely going to touch these two languages, and then you would understand that these things, it's just not there just because it's there. It is there because it should have been there. Now, what is Kharosti? Now, Kharosti happens to be an ancient script that was used in Gandhara, that is in Central Asia. Gandhara. Now, you must be watching Mahabharat, on television these days. Now, Gandhara Naresh Shakuni, right? Shakuni was from Gandhara. So it's not just kind of a mythical place somewhere. No, you please observe it. There they say Gandhara Naresh Shakuni. So he was from there. Kharosti happens to be a language which evolved and developed around those areas, but then and areas around the present day of northern Pakistan and Afghanistan. But but gradually but gradually it you know but gradually with time it disappeared, and it is believed that it disappeared around 300 AD. No one heard about Kharosti anymore, and no literature has been found, or nothing has been found written in Kharosti after that. But then some historians also say that Kharosti was still spoken in the areas around Bactria. Now, what is Bactria, you would ask me? Now, Bactria happens to be the areas around the current states of Tajikistan, Uzbekistan, and Afghanistan. Now, all these countries are together, cluttered together. Tajikistan, Uzbekistan, and Afghanistan. If you see, they are all together. And the reason why it is believed that it continued even, as I just said, Kharosti in areas around the southern Afghanistan and Gandhara and northern Pakistan, it disappeared and it faded away by 300 AD. But then in these areas around Bactria, it continued even till 900 AD. And the reason why it is believed is because Bactria happened to be a very important location when it came to the Silk Route, which ran from Europe to China. And Bactria was right in the middle of it. Okay, so a great number of traders used to go from left to right and right to left, and that is why that language, the practice continued. People still used to speak. It was still the lingua franca. Is it clear? So it was, but one very interesting thing, again, an association with Indus Valley, the first chapter is just like Indus Valley civilization, or rather the language or the script of Indus Valley civilization. If you remember, we had discussed that Indus Valley script ran from right to left. not like the way we write Hindi, that is the Devanagari script, or any script in India for that matter, which runs from left to right. Kharosthi ran from right to left, just like we believe Indus Valley script ran from right to left. Now, that is one of the common connections with Kharosthi and Indus Valley. But Kharosthi also happens to be now, students, you would find it very interesting. Now, to Afghanistan today gives an impression of Taliban, Al Qaeda, everything that can be wrong with the world. But you'd be surprised to know that Afghanistan was once the center of Gandhara form of Buddhism. Again, Gandhara. Okay, it was center of Buddhism. It's a shocker actually, but then that is what it was, and it was very famous for its Bamiyan statues, huge massive statues of the great Buddha. Okay, there were two statues which were ultimately blown away into pieces by Al Qaeda, but that is another thing altogether. So Kharosthi was the language which was spoken in those areas, and tomorrow we would continue with the chapter. Thank you.